Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. It is officially 2023. I'm so excited. So much has changed in this past year because of books, and I can't wait to see what happens in 2023. Another year gone, another year coming. Exciting, more books to read in the new year. But today I'm going to show you guys about my top books of 2022. Now I'm still undecided if I'm going to film a every single book I read in 2022 video, but if you're interested, I'll probably post a TikTok about it, and I'll probably post it on my bookstagram as well, on Reels. And you can always just go look at my Goodreads, which is linked below, and look through all the books I read and what I rated them if you're interested. The stack keeps falling over. I really have no idea how to order these, what order to tell them in. So these are in literally no order. Most of them are 5 stars, but some of them are 4.5 stars, but I'll let you know when I'm talking about them. This is the first book I picked up, and I feel like it's only fitting. This is the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey, a series that quite literally changed my life, but I definitely don't talk about it enough or appreciate it enough for the amount I loved it. I feel like a lot of people read this year, which is great. If you don't know what it's basically about a girl who is a serial killer, and she has a lot of trauma in her past. A lot of bad stuff has happened to her, which has made her the way she is. She ends up meeting this guy, kind of start a relationship. Turns out he is actually an FBI agent, and he is the lead FBI agent on looking for her, but he doesn't know that he's looking for her. And it's 5 books, which is why it's so thick. They're 5 1 to 200 page books. I highly recommend it. If you didn't read it last year, definitely add this to your 2023 TBR. Next up is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I mean, this book has been big for a few years, but it had another blow up again last year when the 3rd book came out. I read this in January last year. I think I would give it 4.5, maybe even 4.75 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a YA mystery. Basically, this girl, she gets a call to go down to, I think it's Texas, because she's on the well for this guy who's died, but she doesn't know who this man is. She has to move into this house with all his relatives. It's a bit of a love triangle. If you haven't, I definitely recommend it. Next book I'm picking up is Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I loved this book so much. This was the first Colleen Hoover book I read. I only read 2 this year, but this was the first one I've ever read, and I love it. This book is not nearly as popular as I feel like it should be. It's about this girl, Bea, and she ends up having to move in with her dad, who has a beach house, and she goes down to live with him for a while. She ends up meeting this guy who lives in the house next door to her. They have such good chemistry and so many little moments that I think about all the time, and I love them. And then obviously there's a huge plot twist that really messes everything up, but it's really good, and I definitely recommend it. I gave this one I think 5 stars as well. Next up, Twisted Games by Anna Huang. I feel like it's, can you even see that? I feel like the white is just blending in with the wall. Anyway, again, super popular. I feel like everyone has read or at least heard of this book in this series. I read the first book in the series, which is Twisted Love, also this year, just a lot earlier in the year, and I really didn't love it. I was quite disappointed, didn't think I would ever carry on, but I had already bought the 2nd book, so I was like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna read it, and I loved it. I loved this book so much, I gave it 4.5 stars. It's incredible. It's a princess bodyguard romance, and it's basically forbidden secret relationship. It's really good, and I definitely recommend it. This is a book that I do not see enough people talking about. This is Identity by Alexia Mentzoranis. I read this, I started this I think the beginning of this year when it was on Wattpad, and I just started it. I was looking for a rock star romance, and I found Identity on TikTok. So I went and I'm reading it. I got halfway through, and then 3 weeks later I see that it's published as a physical published book, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a sign. So I bought it, and I like reread the first half and carried on and finished it, and I loved it. Like I said, this is a rockstar romance. It's called Identity, so you can probably guess it's like a secret hidden identity type of vibe. It's basically about this girl in a small town who hates music ever since her dad died. She has hated music, doesn't listen to it anymore, and then a family, I guess, or a group of siblings move into a house on her street, and they end up becoming really close. She hits it off with one of the guys. The three of them, the three siblings, actually have a like rock band or a band, I guess, and she doesn't know, and they're like hiding it from her, and it's so good. And there is so many plot twists in this as well. There was like a good number of plot twists, especially towards the end, and it was just like, and I definitely recommend picking this up in 2023. Also, I gave that one like 4.75 stars. Next up on my pile is just all Penelope Douglas for a while. Anyway, first Penelope Douglas book I'm going to talk about is Misconduct. I loved this. This is the most recent Penelope Douglas book I read, and it was the one I read that finished off their, like, just, is it their backlist? I was going to say discography. I don't know. Anyway, I read this recently. It was the last book of theirs that I read, and I don't know why I put it off for so long. It's incredible. It's an age gap set in New Orleans. I have no idea what their age gap is, to be honest. I didn't really care, but it is an age gap. It's basically this girl and guy meet at a party, like a masquerade party in New Orleans, and then she ends up being the guy's son's teacher like 6 months later, and they don't have any more communication after that. And he's like running for some sort of government position, like political position, sorry. So it's like, oh, it's so good. And there is such a huge mystery in it as well to do with her that was crazy to follow through. And oh, the guy is a single dad, and his son, oh, I love his son so much, but I love this, and I gave it 4.5. Next, Penelope, another one that's not super popular, but I feel like most people have probably heard of if you know anything about Penelope's books. This is Tris Six Venom. This is like a sapphic dark romance, bully romance. It's basically like popular rich girl and then like girl from like the other side of the tracks, you know, like bad girl, good girl, everything I've ever wanted in a book and so much more. There's like not like a mystery, but a lot of drama that didn't even have to do with their relationship, which is always fun because I feel like everyone loves reading about drama, but when it's all the couple just fighting the whole time, you're like, okay, can we stop with the drama? But then also I love the drama, so this book really had that perfect balance. But I really love this, and obviously I gave it 5 stars. Next up, another age gap, we have Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This one everyone has heard of, right? Surely. Basically, it's a girl, I think she's 19, I think she turns 19 at the beginning. And I read this like around my 19th birthday last year, which was iconic. Anyway, she's like turned 19 and she meets this guy, whatever, they hit it off, but she has a boyfriend. And then her and her boyfriend get kicked out of their apartment and need a place to live. So they go live with the boyfriend's dad. And it turns out that the guy that she met at the beginning was actually the boyfriend's dad. But anyway, then I'm sure you can use your skills to gather what happens next. And I did give this 5 stars. So then I feel like these books, these Penelope Douglas section just slowly got worse and worse and worse. And now we're at Credence. And you're gonna be like, Credence is in your top books of 2022? Yeah, it is. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars. But let's just remember it's a book and everyone is allowed to read what they want to read. And it's a book. And anyway, yeah, I love this book and mine is actually signed with my name. But if you don't know what this book is about, it's basically about a girl and her parents die. So she goes to live with her step uncle who she's never met in her life and her step cousins who she's never met in her life. And okay, and then to my actual favorite Penelope Douglas book of this year, This is one of my top reads of this year. If you don't know, this is a spin-off to the Fall Away series by Penelope, and that is my favorite series ever. It's the first books I read. That's why I'm so obsessed with Penelope now. But this book is the spin-off, so it's about their kids, and they were one of those couples that I could just feel that they had so, like, that they were like meant to be together, you know. He's like valedictorian, like super like good boy. She is, again, from the other side of the tracks, involved in a life of like crime and theft and like that sort of stuff. This like thing happens and they have to hide together from the cops, and they end up going to this like hideout, and that's kind of the whole premise of it. Obviously a lot more happens and it's super interesting and a crazy story, but that is basically the overview of it. I definitely read this and the Fall Away series if you haven't read it yet in 2023. The next book in my pile is like my top book of 2022, but I feel like I should save that for the end. Next up, we have My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Utessa Moshfegh. Again, I feel like this book blew up a lot this year and a lot of people read it and talked about it, so I don't feel the need to super deeply explain it, but it is a, what is it? What's that thing called? Literary fiction. It is literary fiction. So it's not romance or anything, and it's basically about this girl who is absolutely suffering from mental illness and has a bit of a breakdown, and ultimately decides that with the help of some meds and a really sketchy doctor, she's going to sleep for a year and just rest and not do anything. And it sounds really boring, but I promise you it's super good. I gave this 5 stars. It was hard to get into. The first chapter or so was like, ugh, what is this? But after that, I was so hooked and just could not stop reading about her. This is Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This one, you know, you have heard of Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This, I don't have a doubt in my mind. 5 stars, absolutely loved it. I think I have a reading vlog on it coming soon. I read this months ago, but I did film it, so we'll see if that ever gets uploaded or not. Who knows? But if you don't know what it's about Evelyn Hugo. She was a big movie star in like the 50s. Yes, in the 50s, like to the 80s kind of time. And she ends up hiring this girl to come and write her autobiography, or her biography I suppose, and write about all of her husbands and who the love of her life was. It was really good, really well done, super interesting. I think Evelyn is someone that everyone should read the story of her, even though she's not a real person, but I just think her character was like a really important character, if that makes sense. Next up is Throttled by Lauren Asher. Again, I feel like this was a super popular book the very beginning of last year, or like the beginning of the year before even. It's been popular for a while. This is a Formula One romance. Another thing that happened in 2022, I became obsessed with Formula One. But this is about a girl and her brother is a Formula One driver, and he signs with a new team. She's just graduated from college and doesn't know what she wants to do, so she decides to start a YouTube channel and follow her brother around, and ends up sort of developing a relationship with his teammate slash rival. And I mean, yeah, there's not really much else to say. It's incredible. The guy, Noah, every single time he opened his mouth, I was like, I love him so much. I love both of these characters, and I'm so excited to finish this series this year. Next book is Confess by Colleen Hoover. This is more popular than Heartbones, but still not popular enough in my opinion. Basically, it's about a girl and she moves to a new town, I believe, and she's looking for another job when she walks past a building with a help wanted sign, and it ends up being this art studio where people leave anonymous confessions, and this guy basically paints their confessions. And so she ends up going to help him. They sort of develop a relationship, but she has a lot going on in her life. He actually has a bit of a past thing that he hasn't told her about. So there's a lot of plot twists and drama and like, oh my gosh, and you're constantly like, what the hell is going on? But it's so good and beautiful, and I loved it, and I gave this one like 4.5 stars. Finally, two that I'm going to talk about together and not really talk about for long because they got super popular this year, and that is Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. I loved these books so much. I gave both of them 5 stars. I read them like right before they got super popular and I loved them. I still haven't read the second Magnolia or the second Daisy. I really need to. I just haven't had the chance yet, okay guys? They're too heartbreaking. I can't bring myself to do it, okay? But these are these two. Everyone knows what they're about. England, London, high society, rich kids, living their lives, a lot of drama and toxicity, and it's great and incredible, and I don't have a complaint about it, okay? Next books I'm going to mention is actually a series, but whatever, we're counting it as one book, and that is the Zodiac Academy series. I've talked about this series in just about every reading wrap-up I've done this year, to be honest, so I don't think it's a surprise that they're my favorite. That was one of my favorite series of this year. I am excited for 2023 so I can finish the series because it's incredible. It's so good and I love it so much. Again, it's hard to explain. Basically, these twins end up finding out that they're actually Fae royalty, and they get taken to this school called Zodiac Academy where they have to learn about like their powers and all of this stuff. And there's the four heirs who are like kind of hate them because they want the throne, and it's a bully romance and it's incredible, and I don't think there's anything else I need to say. It's like fantasy romance. Beautiful, incredible, glorious. Next up, before we move on to the Kindle books, I'm just going to talk about my favorite book of this year. I don't even know what to tell you. It's Gothicana by Runix. This book completely changed my life, rewrote my brain chemistry, altered who I am as a person. I can't tell you, this book absolutely changed my life, and I'm so grateful for it, and I love it, and I could get emotional right now talking about it. This actually isn't even my copy. This is the copy I bought for my friend Ellie to annotate, and I'm only a little bit into it because I wanted to film a video annotating it, but I had lost my camera charger until literally today. But now that I have that, I can knock out my annotations for this book because I love this universe and this story and these characters so much, and you need to read this book in 2023 if you haven't read it, and if you have read it, reread it. Okay, first Kindle book I want to talk about is one that I read literally like the first week of last year of 2022, and that was Nightfall by Penelope Douglas. And that is like the last main book in the Devil's Night series. It's arguably the best in my opinion. Honestly, not even arguably, it is simply the best book in the Devil's Night series in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. When I read it, I gave it 5 stars. I would now probably change that to like 4.5, 4.75, just because I read a lot of good books this year. Moving on. Next book I'm going to talk about is a Kindle book. And I debated putting this in here, but it is the masterpiece, which is Duplicity. Obviously this ended this year. It was a long ride, a long journey. I actually started it back in 2021, like early to mid 2021 is when I started it, and my life changed. I truly think I think about Duplicity at least 5 times a week. I really think collectively as a society, we all need to erase our memories of the story and reread it all at the same time. Are we on the same page? Do we agree? I think it's about time. Like, I think it's necessary. And before you ask, no, I haven't been reading Complicity because I am saving it until Complicity is like done or nearly done, and then I will probably reread Duplicity and be like, oh, I had to. Okay, so those are my top books of 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys got some inspiration of books to add to your 2023 TBRs. If you guys have any recs for me based on these, please let me know, because I'm super excited to find some new books this year and read some more, and I'm so excited, guys. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Oh, also, I don't think I've talked about this yet in a video. Maybe I have, but I started an Etsy store where I sell these little shirts. So if you guys want to look at these, I'll have the link down below, or the shop is called Mirrorball Files on Etsy. So that's that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I love you, and I'll see you guys in my next video.